This story begins with a group of children playing outside their home. They were playing with a passing ball, a child took part in the ball and a child threw it. These kids were happy to play. Inside the house is a family that listens to the radio. The man listened carefully to what was being said on the radio. When the child is in the house eating, her mother had a gift. This was the gift of her husband's mother, and as a thank you she kissed her on the lips. A man was in a passenger car. The car stopped near the store and the man got off and thanked the driver of the passenger car. He walked and saw the house, he entered it and on a table there was a letter on it. He picked it up and read it. The man continued walking. This house had a mouthful of people he knew. The man approached the coffin and a priest and none came to him. A man was collecting garbage and trading. He saw the children and offered to help them, but the help the children would do was worth the money. The children agreed and they poured out the plastic full of cans, spread it on the floor and one by one they trampled and put it in the plastic. When they were finished an old man paid them. The man counted the money but it was not enough. He called the old man but he said that the price of those cans was low, so the price was low. The man continued to trade and went to a private place. He picked up the cans scattered there and put them in a cart. The man was about to leave the car, but he couldn't get out of the car because a police car was blocking him. The man tried to talk to the police, but the man pointed to the sign and read it to the man. The man who cared for said he knew the owner of the private area and the owner said that he could take what he wanted. The police left the cart and asked the dealer to leave. The man did not leave his cart because it belonged to his king. The man returned to the private area and attacked the policeman. The policeman got angry and got out of his car and approached the man who was trading and the police arrested him. He was pulled over and put in the car. The children saw what the man was doing. The man who had been in the car found out what had happened to the man and took him to the jail to be arrested. When he got home, he was angry with his father for what he had done. A man went to a house, writing it. She got out of the car and looked at the house, and the girl saw it. The girl went into the room and looked at the pictures. The next day, the girl's mother sat on the couch and looked at the old photos. The girl in the picture is familiar with the girl. He asked his mother, and she said it was his father's friend. Her mother told her what happened during their periods. It seemed that her mother didn't want to continue the school, so she told her daughter to brush her teeth first, but the daughter said that the man had come to their house this morning. The mother said she didn't want a child to lie, but the child said she was telling the truth. My mother remembered the events of her time. In the past, blacks were separated from white. Black people are discriminated against, many of whom went on strike in their day because they wanted to treat blacks with the right skin. A man throws his trash. He put it outside his house. He saw a car parked on the other side of the road, got off and approached the man. He talked to the man and then left. The mother went to the man who said the woman. They got into the car and when they got to the man's house they got out and knocked on the door. The man opened it and the man reached for the girl's daughter. It was a box. She thanked the man and then left. In the morning, the girl's daughter went to her room. He opened the box and saw the papers. These papers were a textbook and the contents of the textbooks were posters about the treatment of their kind. The boy saw how people treated their type. That textbook goes on to tell how Americans taught black people to be violent. The woman called the man and said that they would have potluck the next day. She said that if the man did nothing she could go. The man said he was going. In a gathering gathered there were children asking for dollars, putting the dollar in a bucket. The people were happy to be there. The man came and the people saw him there, offered him a chicken and accepted it and ate it. Then he went to the woman who invited him and talked to her after they had talked and left the money on the stairs and left. He went to the car, saw that his car had a paint letter. Before the man left he saw a group of men writing on his car. He went to a bar, parked the car outside and went into the bar, saw the man and talked to him. He turned around so he punched him in the face and made a mess inside the bar. A policeman saw them and the police took them out, beat them and made them sit on the floor. The man and the children collected the cans again and sold them to the old man again. They collected a lot of cans. The old man paid. As usual, the old man paid only a small amount. The merchant man could no longer bear it, so he let go of the money the old man had paid and took a plastic bag full of cans and dropped it. The old man wondered why the merchant did that. The greedy man said they didn't want to bleed anymore. The children and the man finally unloaded the plastic cans and took them to a high-priced cans. The old man failed to convince the merchants. police spoke to the man who was arrested in the bar. He knew this and gave him what he had done in the bar. The man went home, but the priest found out what he had done, so the priest went to him and they talked. They had a bad conversation because the priest was angry with him, so the man took his belongings and put them in the bag. In the house there is a family dinner. Everyone ate except the mother and a boy. They talked and argued. The woman left. She went to her friend's friend, saw him sleeping in her car, talked to her and then left and got into her own car. The man thought about the woman's words. The man went to the woman's house, brought her belongings, and the girl met her. He entered, and when he entered, he noticed the paintings on the walls of his house. The next morning, the man ate breakfast while watching television, offered the girl to sit next to him and watch the show as a television. The man fixed the faucet, and while he was fixing it, the woman asked him what he was doing in life. The man just said what. Suddenly the girl asked if he was really in jail. The man answered it with truth, because he said he was selling illegal guns. The girl said that his father did the same. The man smiled because he saw his mother's behavior in the child. The girl said that would also fix their phone because every time the child listened to it, it had a strange sound. The man took it and listened to the sound. The girl knew what really happened to his father because it told him. The girl was sad and sat down. Her mother and the second father had arrived. They had a little argument, so he packed his belongings and left, got into the back of the car and got on and left. The girl looked at him and asked, but didn't answer. The next day, the girl looked out the window and saw a car parked in front of her, but the man said it was a federal agent and was watching them. After the conversation, the girl got up and went to bed. The next morning, the girl was having breakfast downstairs and reading a textbook. She heard a noise from upstairs, so she went up. She saw the man without a top scarf. Her mother saw it, so she just went down. On the road, police arrested a man, turned his back against the wall and hugged him. The merchant saw it. The man said the police had no right to arrest the man. He did not show his ID and did not tell where he lived. The police heard that and approached the merchant. The police threatened it. The man who was driving the car continued to mock the man and asked what he was doing. The policeman was furious and pulled out a rod and walked towards the merchant, but a car pulled towards them and there were armed men on board. He fired a gun and the people around him and the policeman ran over. The man told the woman what had happened. He said that the relative of the merchant caught the attention of the police because he insulted her. The man was talking to the men who were trading. They burned the textbooks because it was what kids read about how people used to treat them. The man went to an abandoned house. A man came out and reached for something wrapped in cloth. When he looked at the gun, it was a gun. He was practicing in another abandoned house. The man was walking through a scene when suddenly a policeman followed him and stopped him, but he didn't stop walking until the policeman caught up with him and knelt and stabbed him in the car, while inside the car was a police officer with a handgun wrapped in a white cloth. They talked to the police about who owned the gun and they agreed to put the gun in the bar. The man did so, went to the bar, and when he entered he saw the old enemy. The men suspected the police were involved and sat down and hugged him. The men saw the gun. The man who was driving approached a police car. He was wearing a mask and shot the police officer. The man who was trading went home to his uncle's house. The next day, police came to their neighbor's house and knocked on their door. They kept the important things hidden and let their relatives out of their house. It went backwards and ran away. The man took the sin. He was trying to figure out what the man was doing. The police arrested him and shot him in the face. The man hid in a remote area. He saw the police raiding the area. Until the police saw him, he stood up and was terrified. Gunshots echoed around. The woman was grieving over what had happened. A child was sitting near a dry owl. The man approached and held it aside. The man embraced it. The man and the woman were talking. The man left the house and took his belongings. The girl said goodbye to the man and went into the house, got into the car and left. This is where the story ends. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing, giving it a thumbs up, and turning on notifications for more updates. Your support means a lot.